This article right here caused quite a bit of a stir in Manatee County, and with good reason, because election integrity is critically important. We need to have trust in our electoral process. Now, I've got a lot of reasons not to trust, namely Anthony Pedicini. James Satcher is connected and receiving money from Anthony Pedicini and the developers. And so because of that, I'm immediately concerned about access to ballots. Now, James Satcher has broken into rooms and already broken rules and protocols that are put in place to ensure the integrity of the election. Now, the tabulation and the ballot storage room are critically important. Nobody is allowed in there alone. But Satcher said that he is allowed to do this. Now, it's not just a matter of whether he's allowed to or not, because somebody can just say, well, I didn't go in there, I followed protocols. No, they shouldn't have access to this room. And that's what's dangerous. And that's why I went to the supervisor elections office today and asked James Satcher this question, this request. I'd request that James Satcher have his access removed from the room. So I think that would go a long way to building voter confidence that you didn't have access to the room the same way that Mike Bennett did previously. So we have a precedent. So I would like to ask and request that.
I have no objection to that.
Satcher should have access to that room during the election process. And I mean changing the codes to get into the room. I need those codes changed.
That's beyond the purview of the canvassing board. I think Mr. Satcher
Well,
has said that he's not going
to issue, and I think your lawyer would be able to.
Well, if I understand, he agreed to that. He already agreed. And so that's
the codes are going to be changed.
The codes are going to be changed.
That's a yes or no question.
Not within the purview of the canvassing board, but from a security standpoint, we'll do everything that we can at Mr. Satcher's.
But he just agreed in front of all of us that he would.
Yes. Are you done?
Is that a yes or no?
That was a yes. He says yes.
All right, they're changing the codes.
They're changing the code so that he does not have access to the tabulation room
At any time between
and the ballot storage room.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
ballot storage and tabulation, and he agreed to it. And thank you.
Vote by mail because there's plenty of ballots in there as well.
And vote by mail. This is huge. Thank you very much. Now, I'm very thankful that James Satcher decided to do the right thing and recuse himself, rather than recuse himself, actually to remove himself from having access to these rooms. And he's following precedent of this man right here, Mike Bennett, who was the supervisor of election, who removed himself from these rooms when he was on the ballot. Now, the other thing that I want to point out is this sign right here. No photos or video allowed. That was not there previously, and this is a problem because if they're taking record of the things that are happening in a public meeting and they're not allowing the public to keep the same record, who's going to verify and whose narrative is going to prevail if there's a disagreement? That's why I made sure to defy this authority. And remember, defiance to tyranny is obedience to God. I know that sounds a little bit dramatic, but we need to defy orders like this that are reducing our freedoms. It's death by 1,000 cuts. So I had to challenge this one as well. First comment is this right here, the no photos or video allowed in a public meeting. And ask that you guys remove this because this is a public meeting and we are allowed to videotape it. That would be the first thing. Now, it's important to have video recorded testimony of the public comments that were made by Sally Pellegrino and Scott Farrington.
We're here to request that the canvassing board give serious consideration to and caution with motions that are made that would lock in the new clear ballot, clear audit system as the permanent tool for auditing going forward. Because this equipment was just purchased last month. It was just installed here just a couple of weeks ago. The staff was just trained here less than 2 weeks ago. This is brand new here. It's never been used in an election. And technology is good, but our request as the public is, please, can we just break it in? Let it be run through at least 1 or 2 election cycles, before it's locked in as the sole criteria for post-election certification.
My comments are going to expand upon what they just heard, specifically regarding the automated audit system. I'm actually surprised that at least I have not heard any reference other than to Ms. Pellegrino to Administrative Rule 1S-5.026. In that rule is the procedures manual for post-election certification voting systems audit, which would lay out the requirements and the procedures that the canvassing board is responsible to make sure are followed. One of those is notice for the logic and accuracy of the automated system, not just notice for the logic and accuracy. They are distinctly classified in the rule. I also believe the rule gives the canvassing board the responsibility and authority in order to make the decision whether or not to use this. I have not heard a motion on whether or not you would be using this audit system. I couldn't hear all your motions, but I did not hear that motion made. Additionally, the rule requires it requires that the canvassing board conduct a test of the automated system prior to the logic and accuracy of that system. I'm unaware that the canvassing board has done so. If they did, it was not today, and I'm not aware of any other canvassing board meetings. And lastly, I am concerned about the security procedures and whether or not they've been updated to accommodate this, specifically with early voting ballots. My understanding, I haven't heard this discussed yet, but my understanding is that early voting ballots will be processed on an ongoing basis before the end of the election. At least that's how other counties have been doing so. And I believe the security procedures must be changed to accommodate the security of those ballots as they are coming back and the seals are broken and they are processed through the system. And the last question I have, and I could not see the LNA that was being conducted, it appeared it was only testing vote by the functionality of it for vote by mail and not its ability to segregate, consolidate, and report separately for early voting, vote by mail, and election day, which I personally believe would be a function that should be tested during a logic and accuracy test. So just to conclude, I think that the board, before they agree to use the system, needs to make sure that everything has been complied with and followed according to the administrative rule.
Thank you.
We, the people, have an obligation to hold elected officials, and in this case, elected officials, accountable. We need to ask questions. We need to take advantage of the law that we have and the Constitution that we have to ensure that the government is of the people, by the people, and for the people. And you can count on more of this. Remember, Eddie Speir for Congress. And if you're going to take down a rhino, you're going to need a spear.